This has been going on since software sort of, came on the scene. So people will figure out a way to do,
Yeah.
backdoors into, well, I mean, Joshua from War Games, right?
Yep.
So what, like, are the same best practices that we've been using since 1970 the same best practices that are today?
No, there's nothing new. I mean, like if you think back to when Windows first started, like some people consider Windows to be just, a Trojan because there's just bugs and you get blue screen of death and like people could hack into it and there's really no security. And for many years, people didn't really trust Windows because it's like, well, it's not secure because it wasn't.
Welcome to Practical AI, everybody. My name's Jeff. I'm here with Peter Lynn. Practical AI is brought to you by Pocket AI. Pocket AI is a visualization tool that allows you to prune your models without any loss in accuracy. Visualizing your model weights is like a brain surgeon being able to find individual neurons and removing them without harm to the brain. Similarly, Pocket AI allows you to analyze and prune the weights in your model. Using Pocket AI, we have proven we can select the right backbone model, get that model to actually work, make that model more stable, increase a model's accuracy, decrease the size of a model by up to 60%, and put smaller models into production for half the cost. Finally, you can be done with endless brute force training and new model trials. Pocket AI allows you to perform brain surgery on your existing models, making them not only smaller, but better. Peter, today we wanted to do some Karpathy and vibe code stuff, but before we get there, I do want to talk a little bit about two other topics. One is video and AI imaging has gotten so good that people are wondering if humans are going to be able to even detect if stuff is fake.
Yeah.
What's your thought on that?
My thought on it is more practical. I mean, yeah, there are going to be people that want to use this for not good reasons, right? I mean, like some people want to use it to do crime or do something to manipulate people. But being a positive person, like I think it also gives someone an ability to create a movie or a video or something that otherwise they wouldn't have been able to do. If you go back to like the 1980s, if you want to make a movie, you need a whole army of people to make a movie. You couldn't just make a movie by yourself in your room, but now you can because you've got these cool new tools. And you can never prevent people from using a tool in a bad way, right? So that's going to happen.
Yeah. So one of the things though that I think we both agree that, yeah, soon we won't be able to tell humans, but will AI be able to detect AI, fake AI videos? So is there a filter I can put on Instagram or, TikTok that'll tell me that this was not real?
So there's research into that. At the moment, it seems like there might be because there are some traces or signatures from generated content that doesn't match an actual photograph taken in the real world. So there are things you can do, but as these models get better, it's going to get really, really hard. So really, it comes down to there might need to be a regulation rule where, like, if you've got an AI that generates stuff, you need to watermark it, a digital watermark that a human can't see, but a machine can look at it and go, oh yeah, this was generated by this particular model at this time with the timestamp.
Yeah. I mean,
That way,
you can see scenarios where, like I don't want someone faking my voice and calling my kids and asking for $50,000. And so I could see where the government could possibly, step in, um,
yeah.
or, maybe a commercial, maybe we're all paying for that service someday.
Yeah. I mean, it's already in the works, right? Because like Suno and a lot of the AI music websites already give the ability to upload your voice. It'll train a model to sound like you, and then you can have it sing a song in your voice. So this is already out there and is being used for, like some cool stuff. Like if someone wants to be able to sing a song to someone like their kids for a happy birthday, like you could do that. You can go up to Suno or one of the websites and you can generate a song. Like, which is pretty cool, but can also just be bad with it.
Yeah, as always will be the case for humanity. Okay, the next topic before we hit our big topic is Anthropic releases essentially Claude Bot, which was the original name for OpenClaw. So they're not calling it Claude Bot, but everyone is kind of referring to it as that. Tell us a little bit about what they've done and why they've done it.
Yeah, so basically with OpenClaw, you can interact with a model through like a chat or a messaging system like Discord. And so basically, Anthropic released the thing they call channels, where you can communicate with your AI through Discord or whatever, or some kind of messaging system. So this is probably the first step. We're going to see a lot more iterations. So I mean, it's just the beginning.
And essentially the difference between like Claude Cowork and OpenClaw is that you're essentially opening up your laptop to the agent, sort of
Yeah.
the army of agents with OpenClaw, where with uh, Cowork, essentially you're giving it access to a folder. It basically shuts off every night, so it forgets what happened for the next day. Has to start over. I mean, I think there's a lot of people like me that are curious about this, and I think maybe the simple question is, Peter, would you download OpenClaw onto your laptop?
No, I wouldn't, because it's pretty clear when I looked at it that the security is pretty lacking. Yeah, and even if I were to play with it, I would take an old laptop with nothing on it and start it on there, and only give it like access to like stuff that isn't critical.
And the way it's supposed to work is OpenClaw we're talking about, not CloudBot. OpenClaw has access to pretty much everything, or is it only been programmed as an agent to do certain things?
Well, so basically, it allows you to communicate with it through something like Discord or Slack or whatever. You can write your own plugins to communicate with like Teams, for example, or whatever. So at the end of the day, it makes it easy to interact with your agent. Downside is the example from the Meta researcher that had it hook up and scan her emails and ended up deleting emails, right?
Yeah.
She's like, stop. And it wouldn't stop.
And then of course the founder of that thing gets hired by OpenAI, and that just opens up a whole new cycle of questions, right? As where is that going?
Yeah. So I mean, in the open source world, there's definitely this culture of distrust when someone sells out. And so a lot of people, when they see someone get bought out by a big company, the immediate reaction, whether it's true or not, is like, oh, they're selling out. So immediately there's distrust of like, oh, okay, this person wrote it and now they've been purchased. They've been co-opted. So do we know that's the case? We don't know. But the nice thing about open source is even if the guy gets co-opted, it's open source. So people can fork it.
Yeah, it's almost like with one of those things you want to end up on like a fork several generations later where someone has really been particular about security, for example. And just to be clear, Anthropic's not calling this CloudBot. They're calling
No,
it, what are they calling it?
like channels or something. Yeah, they're calling it
So like
channels.
co-channels. Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. So let's move on to our main topic, and that is there was a hack essentially early this week or late last week. Tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about what happened.
Yeah, so basically someone or some group managed to compromise LLM package, which is a Python package that routes LLM calls. And so basically they compromised that package and installed a backdoor.
And that's
And
Light
that
LLM,
backdoor,
the package.
yes, so LiteLLM is just a routing package that would allow you to set it up and it would talk to different models behind the scenes.
Okay, so basically
But the downside is,
you interact with your Discord or whatever, and it goes through Light LLM to get it picks the right agent or sorry,
exactly.
the right LLM to talk to. Got it.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. And so the thing is it's a Python package, and someone compromised it. And if you use some software package that use ILM, it would download it. And because it was compromised, it could take control of all your data. It basically was a Trojan in the back door.
All right. So, I mean, like you and I talked about this earlier, this has been going on since software sort of, came on the scene. So people will figure out a way to do,
Yeah.
backdoors into, well, I mean, Joshua from War Games, right?
Yep.
So what, like, are the same best practices that we've been using since 1970 the same best practices that are today? Or I mean, to a certain degree, this sounds like an old story, but is there
Yeah,
anything?
well, this whole story.
It's okay. So it's not like there's anything new here.
No, there's nothing new. I mean, like if you think back to when Windows first started, some people consider Windows to be just a Trojan because there's just bugs and you get blue screen of death and like people could hack into it and there's really no security. And for many years, people didn't really trust Windows because it's like, well, it's not secure because it wasn't.
Okay, so let's, I think more interesting than that then is give us kind of your thought process on software, installing software. This was
Yeah.
Python code. Is Python code different than C code, different than JavaScript, different than HTML or whatever? Give us kind of how you process stuff just to be safe.
Yeah. So I like open source, but I generally don't just randomly install open source software. I install software that I think is doing a specific thing. Like if I want to do something very specific, I'll look for a package that does that thing. And then I'll look for all the ones that offer it. And I'll take time to actually look at it. Like I don't some people just go, how many stars does it have? Which is the lazy way, right? It's like, oh, it's got 10,000 stars, but you can game that. Um, there are plugins on VS Code extensions where people created packages that look similar to the real one, like a Python lint thing, but it's actually a Trojan, and they artificially boost their stars just to confuse people. And so it's easy to install the wrong one because you think, oh, I'm installing this package for Python that helps me do code completion, but it's actually a different one that was pretending to be the real one. But see, a lot of people just go, oh yeah, it's got stars, so I'm going to install it. So really, like it's on each person to like look at the actual package, make sure it's the real thing.
And then if you wanted to, we're just talking about OpenClaw. If you wanted to do something with OpenClaw, that's
Yeah,
insecure code. We already know just because it's
yeah,
brand new and people have looked at it a little bit. I think OpenClaw is Python, right? It's Python code.
oh yeah. Hmm.
Yep. So it's already kind of in a zone where you kind of think it's probably, going to have holes in it. So what do? Do you find an old laptop? And if you want to dig around with it, do you find a laptop and wall it off from the internet and uninstall?
Yeah, you either get an old laptop or you get a VM set up and run inside the virtual machine. And that way, if it's doing weird stuff, you just shut the VM down.
Okay.
All right. Like an example of that meta researcher, she ran it on a laptop. But the thing is, when she said stop, it didn't stop. So if you're going to set up these systems, you have to have a way to literally kill the switch, like turn the power off.
And with something like OpenClaw or even Claude Bot in the future, is it kind of come already capable of either opening like your email and reading it or Slack and reading it and
No,
doing?
so people are adding extensions, they're enhancing it, adding
Okay.
features, which is great. So that's the cool thing about open source I love is that you put stuff out there and then people like start improving it, which
Yeah.
is great. But if your foundation isn't secure to begin with, then at some point there's a lot of tech debt where you have to go back and completely rewrite the whole thing. So it's safe, right? Like built into open cloud, there should be a way to force it to stop. But there isn't currently, right? So someone's going to have to figure out like, oh, okay, we need to re-architect OpenClaw so that if someone says stop, it literally kills that VM that's running or that LLM that's running.
And maybe one final question, just because I'm kind of curious now. If we, again, an agent is a model LLM in this case that is capable of doing things or uses tools.
Mhm.
How soon till we get to the point where you install an agent that's attached, that's connected to a model and it doesn't need someone to write an extension? It will create extensions instantly and all of a sudden just do stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean we're definitely moving towards that. People are working on that. People are working on models that write extensions and plugins.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like an awful Trojan horse right there.
Yes, because if someone gets control of that, it'll generate an extension with a Trojan built in.
Right. Yeah.
Automatically, right? You'll say, hey, I want to connect to this new system. Let's say HubSpot. Write me a HubSpot plugin. It does it. And if someone compromised that thing, it'll put in the back door and send every single request that you've given it
Yeah.
to their system and give it to the Russian mafia, and you won't know about it,
Yeah. Sounds awful.
or some other group in some other part of the world. You won't know.
Yeah, I think, we're probably getting to the point where we're going to go from the machine learning and sort of model side of this hardware through the software stage. And then we're probably going to come back to hardware again, like right where Apple is or whatever, where it's like we're going to have custom laptops that don't have, aren't connected to AI because, anything you open could, be a Trojan horse or whatever. But it just seems like we're going to probably end up with some hardware solutions that will either in one laptop or in multiple laptops where it's just like, no, I use this one
Yeah.
for work and I don't do anything with AI.
Yeah. 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 No, I mean, you could definitely see people doing that. But if we look at the world of like Wi-Fi routers, there have been a couple of high-profile cases the last few years where the manufacturer of the Wi-Fi router had a default password that was the admin password. And so anyone with internet access could log into your Wi-Fi router and get full control. And so security researchers are like, hey, you have a backdoor because you were lazy about setting up the admin login for your router. And they're like, oh, yeah, it was meant for debugging and we never bothered to turn it off.
Well, we talked about the vacuum guy a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, good stuff. I think the security fraud stuff is just going to be, almost ever present. We could probably talk about it every week, but
Yeah.
these sort of blow up scenarios are kind of fun to talk about just because they're good reminders that, we got to be careful and the security problem's not going away. Good. Thanks, Peter. Be sure to catch us on Spotify if you are more interested in listening, and we will be here next week with a new topic. Thanks, everybody.